Welcome to Giant Cocktails, a podcast where two lifelong fans talk about the San Francisco Giants while drinking homemade cocktails. Now, here are your hosts, Ben and Matthew Henry.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Giant Cocktails Midweek Review. I'm your host, Matthew Henry, the designated hitter of delightful dialogue, ready to knock another episode out of the park. And with me, as always, is the man who stirs more than just cocktails, our Grand Sultan of Slider Mastery, the Sultan of Swizzle Sticks, the one and only Ben Henry. Buckle up, folks, because it's time to dive into the mix, both on the field and in the glass. How's it going, Sultan of Swizzle Sticks?
Matthew, it's going great. Yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Swizzle Sticks, Sultan. Yeah. Hey. Yay, it's fun. Right, fun. Hey.
Yeah, Giant Cocktails, we're fun. Hey, listen to us.
We watch the Giants baseball games while we drink our homemade cocktails. It's what a blast. What a blast, Matthew. Yeah. I'm really enjoying the game right now.
I know. Yeah, actually, one of our Twitter friends, Exaltical on Twitter, tweeted out yesterday about why she even bothers watching. And I suggested that she should just drink while she watches it because that makes it a little bit better. It makes it a little bit better. But even, I don't know if there's enough booze lately, Ben.
No.
I don't know.
No. We didn't talk about it, I think, enough, how important this series was, the 4 games against the Braves. If they swept this 4-game series, they would have been in the third wild card spot all by themselves. And if they got swept, then we knew that the Braves would stay in the third wild card spot and that the Giants would be 5.5 games out of that spot with at least 3, but as many as 5 teams to pass. And unfortunately, only one of those things is still possible. And now looks like it's 1 game away from becoming reality. And to be 5.5 games out, to have only 8 of your cupcake games left after they got me, Matthew. They got me. I admitted that I was the guy in the clown mask sitting next to you in the bandwagon.
I know. You at the end of the last episode, you jumped on. You were like, you admitted to being like in the passenger seat. Yeah.
Why did I let them do this to me?
Every year you let them.
Every year
you let them do
every
this.
year, except for 3 magical years in a 5-year span. I mean, I thought
that's why we're going through this, though.
That's what it is. Yes. Because just to remind you, folks, there are 30 Major League Baseball teams. If every team won the World Series in succession without any repeats within your lifetime, you could see your team win 2 to 3 times. Guess
We've
what?
seen it too.
You've seen it. You've seen it. For you young Giants fans who...
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry if you were born in like 2000.
Yeah, it sucks for you. It really does suck for you. But
you barely remember 2010. Yep. It's like a vague memory. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. I remember it very well. But you will just tell your kids, oh yeah, the Giants won 3 times in my lifetime. And they'll be like, that team, really? Yeah, that's how I'm doing, Matthew.
Okay,
that's how I'm doing.
Well, I don't blame you. I'm right there with you. But, I think our listeners might need a little booze. So why don't you explain what you're drinking today?
Oh, well, Matthew, I was really dissatisfied with the cocktail that I presented on last Sunday, so I wanted to have another go. So I'm presenting another cocktail in honor of the demoted, the imprisoned, really, if you think about it, Camilo Doval. And
Free Camilo.
And it turns out, Matthew, this is my 5th cocktail that I have named after Camilo Doval since we started the show. And in fact, I originally gave this name Camilo's Fire, but I'd already used that name 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was. So this is called Phoenix Doval. because he's going to rise from the ashes out of this. He's probably going to have to get traded somewhere. This is a Joey Bart situation totally brewing, right? I mean, Joey Bart's doing great in Pittsburgh, by the way, for those of you who don't know. So maybe Camilo can go be a great closer for somebody else, like the Yankees or something. But he'll need to rise before he does that. And how do you make a Phoenix Doval? You take 2 ounces of Mezcal, half an ounce of cherry Heering liqueur, half an ounce of ginger syrup. I'm almost done with it, Matthew. It's almost gone. And then 3/4 of an ounce of lemon/lime juice. Why /? Well, because I only had 1 lime left and it wasn't enough to make a double. And folks, I needed a double tonight. So I augmented with lemon juice. If you want to use all lime juice, that's fine. You want to mix and match, that's fine too. But anyway, you're going to need 3/4 of an ounce of whatever that ends up being. And then you're going to need 2 to 3 jalapeno coins, or to taste. And how to make it? Well, you muddle the jalapeno coins in the ginger syrup in the bottom of your shaker while it is empty. Then you add ice, the mezcal, the cherry liqueur, and the citrus juice to the shaker, and then you shake that until chilled, and then you double strain into a stemmed cocktail glass and garnish with 3 Luxardo cherries. I highly, highly recommend the double strain, just so you don't end up with any jalapeno seeds floating around. And that is how you make the Phoenix Doval. And it is nice. I really like this one.
All right. Well, I like the mezcal and the heat there, man. You're bringing smoke and heat, and it's definitely a Phoenix Rising thing there. I like that. I like that a lot. All right. Well, I had thoughts around when we played Atlanta that I would do something with peach. Okay. And so what I'm really presenting here is a peach old fashioned. But I decided to call it Giant Slayer after the first 3 games of this series. So I'm presenting the Giant Slayer. Okay. It's got 2 ounces of bourbon, 1/4 ounce of Amaro Nonino, 3/4 ounces of peach simple syrup. And what you do is you just chop up a peach into lots of pieces, throw a cup of sugar in there and put it in a container and let it sit in your fridge for a couple days. And it brings out this nice, maybe give it a good stir or shake, every few hours or so to mix in everything. But it brings out a nice peachy syrup. You're going to add 3/4 ounces of that. And then you're going to add 2 dashes of orange bitters and 2 dashes of peach bitters. Put all that into a mixing glass with ice. Give it a good stir for 30 to 40 seconds. And you're going to strain it into a cocktail glass with fresh ice and garnish with a peach slice. So that's what I'm drinking today, the Giant Slayer, a.k.a. a peach old fashioned.
Giant Slayer. So what you're saying, Matthew, is that the Giants were smashed to death by a big giant peach.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, if you're going to go.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway. Today, no, that's your, no, sorry. That is
anyway. Let's change the subject. What are we talking about today, Ben?
I don't, peaches, apparently.
Peaches, apparently. But beyond that, it would be easy to talk about the series and how much it sucked. But maybe we thought we'd dig a little deeper. Like, why? Why are the Giants just struggling? Struggling to score runs? Well, it turns out, Ben, that they just are terrible at driving runners in, I guess is the easiest way to say that.
They suck
right?
with runners in scoring position. This just in, fans. Matthew and I figured it out.
Exactly. They can't score runs because they don't know how to drive runners in. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Ben's done all the research, folks. He's got graphs and charts.
Yeah. It's another Ben special.
Yeah. So we're gonna dig into that. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about Marco Luciano, his demotion and the promotion of Grant McCray, because we talked a little bit about that in our last episode. And so we need to follow up with that. And then, of course, we're going to do our usual lightning round. Today is Wednesday, August 14th, as we record this podcast. It is in the middle of the Giants Atlanta Braves game, the 3rd game of the series. they're losing 9-1 right now, so we're just going to call it a loss.
Yeah.
I think.
No, it's in fact, the Giants have doubled their run total.
Woohoo! All right. So anyway, folks, the record, we're just going to call it. They're 61-62. They're one game above homeostasis. Here we were all excited just like a few days ago. We were like 4 games above homeostasis. We were like 5 games. Wow, look at us. Now we're
so stupid.
So yeah, I know. After Thursday's game, right back to homeostasis. I can feel it. It's coming. Homeostasis is a powerful
it's a power.
Force,
you can't. It's science, Matthew. I don't know why we thought that we could get away with it.
Yeah. Well, they were getting the way they are. So Ben, you texted me today, and you said, "Guess what? The Giants are terrible with runners in scoring position."
No. I want to read this correctly because I really like the way that I worded it.
Okay.
I'm going to read this out. So this runners in scoring position is really starting to become a problem, isn't it? That's the text I sent to you.
Yeah, and I said, "Yep," and so then that became the thesis for tonight. Is that's really become a problem.
It really has.
After Tuesday's game, I tweeted out I'd sell my brother for a clutch hit. No takers.
No takers. Yeah, Matthew, I'm not surprised you didn't get any takers. But yeah, I did do a deep dive, Matthew. I went into this hardcore. I made a discovery recently that really prompted me to dive deep into this, and we're going to get to that later in this segment. But it made me, I was just so enraged by what I discovered that I have to crack this puzzle. Why are the Giants so bad when there are runners in scoring position?
And any good scientist has hypotheses, right? I mean, that they need to test. You know, there's some theories that need to be tested, and so I know you had a couple theories going in that you were wanting to test. What was your first theory?
Well, okay, so my first theory is this. And I know this might sound a little weird, but Matthew, have you heard of this guy named Matt Chapman?
Oh yeah, a platinum glove winner, right? I mean, he's elite defender. Yeah,
that's right. In the terms of rankings in the National League, how good is Matt Chapman overall as a player?
Well, he's ranked 3rd in the National League in B-WAR.
That's right. 3rd in the National League in B-WAR. So why do you think Matt Chapman is so good at that? Right? He hits home runs. He's got an okay batting average. I mean, it's almost okay.
Well, it's got to be the glove. The glove.
It's the glove, right? It's the glove because he's an elite defender. And then on our last episode, we talked about Joey Bart and how Joey Bart is a significantly better hitter this year than Patrick Bailey. Joey Bart is now the starting catcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, by the way, in case you don't know. And he is playing very well for them, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But Patrick Bailey has, now in the last episode, I said he was 4 WAR better. I misspoke. It's 0.4. 4 would be a lot. Patrick Bailey is a better overall player than Joey Bart by a significant margin because Patrick Bailey is so good at defense. Okay, so why does that matter? Well, my theory is this, Matthew. The Giants are elite defenders. And what is it that an elite defender cannot allow to happen?
Score runs. That's
right. They cannot allow them to score runs.
So wait. So your theory then, you're telling me that your theory is that they're so good at not allowing runs that they can't do it on the offensive side too? They're just hardwired to prevent runs? And
it's not intentional, right? It's unintentional. They just cannot let those runs score.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an interesting theory.
Matthew, and that was the best theory that I had, right? Because otherwise, the only other theory is luck, and I don't believe in that for 1 second. People are going, oh, it's just bad luck. No, take your bad luck and shove it.
Okay.
So I kept digging though, Matthew, and I kept digging, and then I came up with a different theory. Now here's my different theory.
Okay.
Well, so these chances, these at bats, these plate appearances with runners in scoring position, they
sure every batter gets equal amount of chances.
No,
right?
In fact, if you think about it, your good hitters are good at getting on base, right? And your bad hitters are bad at getting on base. So who are the people that are most likely to come to the plate with runners on base? the bad hitters.
Oh.
So that was my theory, was that, the Giants' bad hitters are getting the lion's share of all of the plate appearances. And you know what, Matthew? There was some truth to that. Now, the guy who has had the most plate appearances with runners in scoring position, and this, by the way, folks, was all based on totals through Monday, was Matt Chapman. You know, Matt Chapman plays every day. He's one of our better hitters, in fact. Then after that, it's Elliot Ramos, also one of our better hitters.
Yeah, that tracks. Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it was Jorge Soler. And I hate to tell you all, folks, but he was also one of our better hitters. But then things, Matthew, go a little weird. Because the guy at fourth most plate appearances is Patrick Bailey. And Patrick is good at defense, Matthew.
He was doing pretty well offensively, maybe over the third of the season. And then...
But I think he's a first half of the season kind of guy. And I think that's, unfortunately, we're starting to learn that that's just who he's going to be. Right?
Yeah.
Well, then after that, it gets worse. It's Thairo Estrada. Thairo Estrada had our fifth most number of plate appearances, and Thairo was bad. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then sixth was Conforto. And I know that I don't like Conforto, but I don't like Conforto for the same reason that I don't like the Giants, because they're mediocre. Okay. Conforto makes me mad because he's mediocre, not because he's bad. Okay. So, and then after that, it was Mike Yastrzemski, who is one of our better hitters, believe it or not. And then Wilmer Flores shows up on the list. But we're starting to get pretty far down the list. Okay. So it was like, okay, yes, Thairo, Patrick Bailey, Wilmer Flores, but it really wasn't enough to say that explains why the Giants are so bad overall. So then I thought, well, maybe our good hitters suck. And Matthew, we're onto something. We do have a few chokers. So Matthew, I'm going to give you three guys. Now, Michael Conforto, I told you, is not one of our better hitters, but he's not one of our worst hitters. But when Michael Conforto has runners on scoring position, he is 9% worse than his normal self. Now, that's not a huge margin, but it is a statistically significant margin. Like, Michael Conforto is a much better hitter when there are no runners on. Now, who else is on that list? Well, that's pretty good, folks. 91% of your normal self is pretty good, because this next guy is only 52% of his normal self when he has runners in scoring position. And
who's that guy?
And for people that have more than 30 plate appearances, as of last Monday, he is the second worst on the team. And for those of you who are Michael Yastrzemski haters, well, I have good news. Yaz is really not good with runners in scoring position. His batting average is 192, his on-base percentage is 259, and his slugging percentage is 301 for an OPS, Matthew, of 561.
Ooh. Oh, poor Yaz.
And that man has had 7% of the plate appearances for the Giants with runners in scoring position. As of Monday, that was 81 plate appearances. Yeah. In all of those, he hit one home run. So Yaz is the second worst on the team. Now, Matthew, who do you think of all of the San Francisco Giants who've played this year, who have had more than 30 plate appearances as of last Monday, who do you think was the worst, was the worst Giant with runners in scoring position?
I think it's Brett Wisely, because otherwise, why would you bring it up?
So actually, no. Brett Wisely is actually one of the very few Giants who's not just a little bit better with runners in scoring position. He's a lot better. He's 29% better with runners in scoring position.
Brett Wisely is Mr. Clutch?
Yeah, well, look who got the one hit today with runners in scoring position. No, he's one of the best. No, Matthew, it's Nick Ahmed.
Of course.
Yeah, it's Nick Ahmed. Nick Ahmed was the worst Giant with runners in scoring position, which kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense if that was true.
Oh, it's not true?
It's not true at all. The worst Giant on the team with runners in scoring position, and you're not going to believe me, You're not going to believe me when I say it. And this is the thing that got me so angry and just got me so bent out, and I had to dive deep into this. You're not going to believe me. It's Tyler Fitzgerald. Tyler Fitzgerald is the worst Giant with runners in scoring position.
Our best hitter is the worst?
Our best hitter is the worst hitter. Even when we have good things, Matthew, we can't have good things. Like, I can't. This one, like, made me just, like, I almost wanted to be like, okay, I'm ready to wake up from the simulation now. This is what broke me. It's not that
That's like saving up your money for, like, the high-end sports car, and then it arrives with a big dent in it.
Exactly. Like, okay, so here it is. As of Monday, he was hitting 162 with runners in scoring position. His on-base percentage was 205, and his slugging percentage, Matthew, the fastest man to hit 15 home runs for the San Francisco Giants since Willie Mays. His slugging percentage with runners in scoring position is 189.
Ooh.
Do you know how many home runs he'd hit with runners in scoring position by Monday? 0.
No. All of his home runs
have been solo shots or with a guy on first.
Wow.
Folks, it's mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And so I could not accept this. I could not accept it, Matthew. I was like, this is too big of an anomaly for there not to be an evidence as to why this is happening. And I went deep. I was on MLB Savant. I was on Baseball Reference. I was on Fangraphs. I pulled everything into spreadsheets. I was writing queries and all kinds of just crazy stuff trying to figure this out. And it finally clicked. I finally saw a stat that just made it all click. So then I went and looked at the San Francisco Giants and I said, you know what? I think the problem is that the Giants don't hit enough home runs overall. And they don't hit very many. They're like 20th in the league. But then I was like, how many home runs do they hit when there are runners in scoring position? They're like second worst in the league. And then I was actually looking at their batting average and their on-base percentage and their walks. Like maybe they're bad at all of those things. And I realized that they were ranked higher in both walks and hits than they were in on-base percentage. And that's a curious combination, isn't it? Because you add those two things together and that's your on-base percentage.
Yeah.
Well, I figured out, Matthew, that the Giants are 4th in the league in sacrifice flies. So they have a lot of sacrifice flies when there's runners in scoring position. They don't have a lot of home runs. It means that they're weak.
They're just not hitting the ball very hard, huh?
They've got warning track power, and then that's when it all clicked. And I raced over to Fangraphs, and I said, show me the hard hit rate for the San Francisco Giants when there are no runners on base, when the bases are empty. The Giants have a hard hit rate, Matthew, of 32.1%, making them 9th in the league when there are no runners on base. When there are runners in scoring position, Matthew, their hard hit rate drops to 27th, where it's 27.7%. And StatCast breaks these down into soft, medium, and hard. And most of those numbers don't drop down to medium, Matthew. They drop from hard to soft. The Giants don't hit the ball as hard when there are runners in scoring position. And it is a huge differential. This is not a small thing. So the question is, why? And I think the Giants are swinging at crap balls that they don't normally swing at. This sounds like a philosophy. This sounds like this is how we do it. Put the ball into play. Always make contact. Make the defense make a play. So they swing at crap. Or they're just so desperate and they're tired of failing that they start swinging at crap that's down in the zone or out of the zone. And
Rick, we went through this. I think, didn't you mention also their strikeout rate was actually less with runners in scoring position? So they're clearly looking for contact, just not hard contact.
Correct. Their strikeout rate with runners in scoring position is 18th in the league at 21.4%. And then with the bases empty, they strike out more, 23.8%.
Yeah.
So yeah, they strike out more when the bases are empty because they're waiting for their own pitches. They're not swinging at things down in the zone, right? So they're letting the pitcher have that strike and they're hunting the ball up. But when runners get on base, they change their approach and it results in weaker hit balls. And that sounds like a philosophy to me. But anyway, I think that's it. Like, the Giants don't hit the ball as hard when there's runners in scoring position, and it looks intentional. And there you go.
All right.
I dropped my mic.
Well, thank you. I think that's an interesting insight. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if the Giants eventually kind of change this approach after they, because we know that Farhan listens to Giant Cocktails.
He does. We do.
We know that because last episode we talked about how if Luciano wasn't going to play, that he should probably get sent down.
Right, because he was rotting on the vine.
Opportunities. Exactly. And then what does it happen after we publish? A day later, Farhan sends Luciano down, and we see Grant McCray. Now that was one name we did not talk about as a possibility, but you did lump. You said anybody. You said anybody can fill the DH role, right? And so that anybody ended up being Grant McCray, who is has been in the minor league system for a few years now, and actually got promoted to AAA about 2 months ago, and has done better in AAA. He didn't really deserve a promotion if you looked at his numbers in AA. Has actually performed better in AAA than he has in AA. So maybe we'll continue that upswing and see some improvement in the majors.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Matthew, remember there was the slew of injuries, right?
Oh yeah.
And so that rippled down through the whole organization. So a lot of guys had to get promoted, even though whether they deserved it or not. And I think that was to his benefit. Yeah,
absolutely.
And Farhan did mention him as a guy that was likely to get promoted he said that at the deadline, at the trade deadline. So this doesn't surprise me. I mean, I wonder how many at-bats he's going to get. If Bob Melvin is going to use him, I feel like probably not. He threw him in because it's his first, Bob Melvin did the manager thing, which is it's your first game in the bigs. We're going to throw you in. The only saving grace is he's a lefty, I guess, and Luciano was a righty.
He might get more opportunities
and he can,
as a left-hander.
And he has a position, so he can play in the outfield if needed.
He plays center field, too. So maybe
he can be like a defensive replacement.
Defense.
Yeah.
All right, well, I just wanted to mention that because obviously Luciano getting sent down wasn't part of the original plan when they traded Jorge Soler, and we spent a whole time talking about that last week.
Oh, they have a plan?
No plan. No plan, clearly.
It's time for a lightning round.
All right, Bob, let's do this. Okay, Ben, let's wrap this up here. Should the Giants waive Blake Snell for his own good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My answer is no.
Why?
All right, moving on.
No, what?
No, they shouldn't waive him. This was your question.
I know. So you're just going to put
He's the one that signed with the Giants. He signed on the dotted line. He knew who he was getting.
I'm just saying,
no, you don't just.
Okay.
You don't just give somebody
How about this? For the good of all of baseball, to see an excellent.
Who gives a crap about the good of baseball? I don't give a crap about that. No, you let him rot on the vine. Okay, he signed with the Giants. He's got to go down with the ship. Man. There's no way we're gonna just let him just sign with the Yankees or whatever. Whenever
he doesn't want to. He wants to stay a Giant, or so he says. He's probably better at PR than Farhan. So he's just saying the right thing. He's saying the right thing. I think they should waive him just so that some other team that is actually good can use his services in the postseason because he's not going to be a Giant next year anyway. All right, moving on. Okay, you can only retain 3 position players next year, Ben. Well, let's say we're doing like a baseball keepers draft, and you can only keep 3. Who are you keeping? I can only keep 3 position players?
3 position players.
Including injured guys?
Sure.
Oh,
yes.
Man. Well, I got it. Okay, Jung Hoo's got to be there.
Yeah. Okay.
I hate this question.
Yeah. Exactly. See, you'd think that this question, most teams could be like, oh, I could name 3 right away, huh?
Well, I really want to keep Matt Chapman because he's been our best player this year, but He's old and okay. Ramos.
Okay.
You know what? Fitzgerald. And I know. I didn't say somebody, but maybe you're going to be on your list. So whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think I would agree with you. Jung-Hoo Lee. Ramos or Fitzgerald. I think I'm going to go Ramos over Fitzgerald. And Patrick Bailey. Patrick Bailey is my third.
What? Okay, look, first of all, automated balls and strikes are coming, Matthew, at which point Patrick Bailey becomes way less useful. Also, he can't hit. Also, I always like Joey Bart better than him anyway, and thank you, Joey, for proving me right this year.
All right, last question. Do the Giants make the playoffs? I almost said that. I almost said it with a straight face. I just...
I almost want to say yes, just because, like...
Heck yes, they do.
Okay, yeah, sure.
That bandwagon is still moving along.
Right, okay. Okay, you know what, Matthew? Yes, but you know what? My hand is on the door handle.
Okay.
I'm about to throw open the door and dive out of this death trap.
That's fair. There's no seatbelts on this thing anyway. So, no.
Oh, no.
All right, folks. Well, upcoming opponents, we have a rare Friday day game off after the Thursday loss to the Braves. And then...
but they're making the playoffs.
All right. I mean, after they beat the Braves on Thursday, they have a Friday off. 2-game series against the Oakland A's, who are 51-70. So maybe we can, maybe sweep 2 games. We'll need to. Players to play for both teams. Matt Chapman, of course. Number 6 on the all-time save list, Santiago Casilla. And former Giant great Johnny LeMaster all played for the A's and the Giants.
And that's a wrap on the midweek review, folks. Thank you for joining us. We will be back on Monday with the big show, where the cocktails will be stronger and the rants will be longer. If you can't wait that long to get your fix, feel free to reach out to us on the social medias. You can find us in all of the places. Well, really only 4 of them, where we go by the username Giant Cocktails. You can also find us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and comment. We're still looking for subscriber number 12, everybody. I know it doesn't sound like a sexy number, but Matthew and I will always remember it. But most importantly, be sure to leave us a positive review, like 5 stars positive at your podcasting platform of choice, a.k.a. Apple Podcasts or Spastremski Cafe. Matthew, you were waffling today. I love waffles. Keep up the good work. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, Ben. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye!
Thank you for listening to the Giant Cocktails Podcast. Until next time, bottoms up.
Waffles.
Waffles. Waffle rhymes with awful.
Awful rhymes with Giants.
Oh my gosh. They just did the thing. There were no waterfowl. You know what I'm saying? And so he got halfway to Promised Land. And that's fine, whatever, that happens. Right. But then your favorite and my least favorite player came up. I can say his name. That's allowed, right? Brett Wisely.
Yeah.
Then he came up and he did the glamorous 1/4 thing. And then the duck flew all the way. Oh, I can't say that word.
Oh, home?
No, not to home. He did not. The duck did not fly home. The duck flew to his abode.
Okay. All right. Gather. Okay. No full Monties.
No, it was no. There were no. It's only a full Monty if the opposing team does it, Matthew.
Okay, I get confused with all your sayings. Okay. Anyway.
No. I also have one more thing to say. I also have one more thing to say. MLB.com, Matthew, came out with their ranking of the farm systems today. They ranked the San Francisco Giants system in Farhan Zaidi's 5th year as 23rd best. They said San Francisco's 8 best prospects all signed within the past 2 years. What was Farhan doing those first 3 years?
Yeah, I don't know.